So Casino Royale was released in 2006 and was a massive hit. It's one of my personal favorite films, as well as one of my personal favorite James Bond films. To me, it is James Bond. Well, 2 years later, they had a sequel, and it came out, and it was called Quantum of Solace. So in this one, we basically kind of see a continuation of Casino Royale in that James Bond is, he's like I said, we're still a fresh operative. He is now haunted by the loss of the woman that he was actually falling in love with, which is, a no-no for James Bond, but he is now becoming the calculated, cruel killer that we know to be. And in this film, he is going after an organization that is, of course, trying to take over the world and in the best way possible. But it is not just your typical organization. It's kind of like an amalgam of different groups, because there's one group here and one group here, and the one group is actually a general, and they General Madrado, and basically what they do, or I believe that they are some form of renegades. That not renegades, it's not the right word. Anyway, but they are teaming up with another group who's more of the typical, white class businessmen, and they are, that's what it is. It's based off the book of the same name, like the first one was. Actually, like a lot of the James Bond films are. But yes, Quantum of Solace, based on the book by Edith Fleming. And this one we have different actors coming in, of course, as you would. And so for this one, the Bond girl of it is Olga Kurylenko. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I'm sorry if I'm not. She is after the general because he actually killed her family when she was a little girl, and she, of course, wants revenge. But she just kind of tries to butter him up and, get closer in that way. And then she recruits the help of James Bond, after he messes up the plan the first time. So she's the Bond girl of this film. And then Gemma Arterton is also one of the Bond girls in this film. She's more of the Bond girl. She doesn't really have much of a role. She's just kind of there. David Harbour is also in this film as another bad guy. He is on the same team as them. But he is the American version of their bad guys. Jeffrey Wright is back, of course, and he is the same as he always is just awesome as Felix. M comes back, played by, once again, Judi Dench, who was once again incredible and a great balance before Daniel Craig's James Bond wild antics. And like I said, in this one, he's recovering from the loss of Vesper, so he is drinking. We were starting to see more of the cold callous. Like I said, he's drinking a lot more, and he's just shelling himself off from the rest of the world. And he's just becoming what we know and love as James Bond, and it really took the heartache, unfortunately, of losing Vesper Lynd to do that, but here we are. And the film overall, it's a good film. It's not, for me, Casino Royale is probably the best one in my opinion, so of course it's not as good, as sequels don't usually tend to be. They're not as good as their predecessors, but it is a good film. I'm not 100% sure. Like, the sequel aspect comes in, like it really does. Parts of it come in. It's more when it comes to Vesper Lynd and him trying to figure out things about her and what was going on and why their relationship crumbled prior to her downfall or demise. I'm sorry, and it's kind of like there, and then it's gone, and then it's there again. So it's not really the greatest way to maybe have a sequel in that regard. It is a good sequel nonetheless, though. And this one, the Bond theme is called Another Way to Die by Jack White and Alicia Keys. And it is a good Bond film. Bond song, I'm sorry. I don't know if I think it's the greatest standalone song, but it is a good song nonetheless. But overall, you got James Bond doing James Bond stuff. You got cool chases, explosions, all the stuff you would want. It's not bad. Don't get me wrong. It's a good film. It's just not a great film like Quantum of Solace was. This one I tend to find, while the production is very good in it and the acting is all very good, it's very typical of a James Bond film. Nothing really jumps out in the sense of, oh man, that's a good film, like Casino Royale did and like some of the other films that he's into. But with that being said, I definitely recommend checking it out if you haven't seen it. If you have seen it, leave a like and let me know in the comments what you think. But overall, it's a good sequel, and I will be back with another one. Take it easy.